Sambano from Mongolia, and a very warm welcome to this episode of the Phoenix Mindset podcast. Today with my nomadic friend Tovuu, and I'm extremely excited to be talking to him about the keys to happiness from a nomadic viewpoint, with deep insights into your life, into your story, and into the nomadic way of thinking and of being happy. So very warm welcome to Tovuu, and I would like you to fully say your name because I really struggle with your name.
Okay, thank you. Greetings from Mongolia. So thanks for inviting your podcast. And Sambano. So I'm greeting in Mongolian. So my first name is Tovuu. My last name is Jargal.
Yes. Yeah, and you grew up as a nomad in the countryside in a so-called gher.
Yeah.
So the ghers are your houses.
Yeah.
We sometimes talk about them as tents, as yurts, but they're really your houses. They're round tents and they house up to 10, 12 people. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your childhood and how you grew up?
So I was born and raised in the countryside, and like you said, I just used to live in one round tent. So that is called gher. So I have in my family, my parents, and also 5 of us.
Mhm.
I have one older brother, one younger brother, two younger sisters. So, so we can just used to live in one gher.
All together in one room.
One room. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes the nomadic families also have the grandparents living there, and several, 3 to up to 4 generations in one house, in one gher.
Yeah, one gher, and some our gher just passed down to generation to generation. Even some people still today, that some nomadic people just still live in the grandparents' gher.
Yeah, and a lot of the Mongolian people still live as nomads or as semi-nomads, where they spend half the year in the city and the other half of the year in the countryside.
Yeah. So nowadays, everything is changing, but the nomadic lifestyle is our tradition. But maybe 40% of the population just still keeping this kind of traditions. I mean, they are herding their livestock, including sheep and goats, horses, camels, goats.
Yeah. And it's not considered poor. It's considered a very conscious choice of wanting to live the nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely, you're right. Maybe that some people look, it's a kind of, sign of poverty.
Yeah.
But actually, having less staff, having less materialistic thing is our main philosophy.
Yeah.
As you know, and also we move around at least 4 times a year. So it means we need just less things.
Yeah, so you basically pack up your house, and it's normally the packing is done in a few hours. Then you move to the next location where there's a lot of new grass, and Mongolia is it's the most or the second most least densely populated countries in the world. So there's a lot of land, but a lot of the families have many hundred, if not over 1,000 livestock. So you need land to feed your animals, and they normally roam around freely. But for you, being rich doesn't mean having a new cell phone, doesn't mean having an Apple laptop and a great car. It means having time with the family. What else maybe in your own words, what does it mean in the nomadic lifestyle to be rich?
Yeah. So living as a herder, living as a nomad family, so in Mongolia is just so happy what we have. So it means mainly our conscious just focuses on the nature. So we prefer to live in less staff, or that I mentioned, just pass down this beautiful landscape to the next generation.
So for you, a lot of the happiness comes from being one with nature and just having a very peaceful life with your family members, with the animals in a very remote area away from all the stress and drama of the big cities.
Oh yeah, you're right. And living in a remote areas, we can just feel the nature, feel the beautiful landscapes, feel the beautiful blue sky. So, you know, living in a city is, of course, and it'd be stressful and rush time, you know. Yeah. So living in the countryside is, I mean, it's just happiness for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you define happiness other than living in the countryside? What is happiness for you, or for in the nomadic culture? What is happiness, and how can you achieve it?
So that's a really good question. So happiness for the nomadic families, you know, and I'm one word. Maybe this is very good summer. I mean, the beautiful summer. Summer means there must be full of grass and beautiful sunny days, and even we just herd all livestock and milk the animals, livestock, and making the dairy products. Just we are doing what we want.
Yeah.
So it is just our nomad style, especially for Mongolian men. They can say that the happiness for the Mongolian men is just on horseback.
On horseback. You
Yes.
are really a horse nation. The way Mongolian people, even some of the children, ride is something I've never seen before. You are one with the horses, and the way you gallop through the plains. I was lucky enough to go yak herding with Sukbat, our nomadic friend who we stayed with for several days. And it is unreal how closely you work together with the animals. What is the special relationship? I mean, you grew up with, you told me you had horses, goats,
cows, sheep and camels.
And camels.
Yeah.
So that was sort of your extended family.
Oh yeah, extended family.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, and yeah, some, you know, just we just dream about living in freely. So so galloping and riding on a horseback, riding on a horse is just feels very good feeling for us.
So that's a very beautiful thing you say, because a lot of people don't appreciate what they have. And what I've noticed with a lot of the nomadic friends that we met is that people are very content and happy with what they have and what they do. They really live in the moment.
Yeah, you're right. So most Mongolians, you know, and we are just happy what we have and just living in our dream. So our dream is just living not only in Mongolia, maybe, but also the other countries. Yeah. So just living in our own visions, our own visions. The Mongolians' vision is just living as a nomadic family, nomad lifestyle, and herding the livestock, just, you know, and living just one big community and helping each other, so sharing everything we have.
Okay, so the vision is not I want a car, I want a house, I want a big title, I want a big career.
Yeah.
So that's not the vision.
Yeah, that's not our vision. Yeah.
I have met many people here that seem to be truly happy. What do you do when you have a bad day? When you have a tough winter, for example, and the animals die? What do you do when 10, 12, 14 people living in one gher have an argument, or when there is tension? How do you deal with challenges? I'm really excited to hear that.
Yeah, and of course, yeah, earlier I mentioned we just used to live together with my siblings, just one gher. But when we were kids, you know, we used to play and sometimes lead the argument. But when we were growing up, so we understood how we live closely,
Mm-hmm.
how we live peacefully. Yeah, it is just our patient
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and our patient and our maybe tolerance, and also even my parents and especially my father taught me and taught us a lot of good things, a lot of good words.
Like what, for example?
For example, life is not a heaven, so
Mm-hmm.
life has got a lot of bad things and good things,
Mm-hmm.
maybe ups and downs. In those days, just just be patient, just be tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we spoke a few days ago, and you said that when you and other Mongolian people are upset, what you try to do is keep it inside for a while, let the emotions settle, and then go back and talk to the person so that you don't confront someone when you're full of negative emotion.
Yeah, you're right. And also our ancestors, I mean the grandparents and parents taught us a lot. So before talking,
Mm-hmm.
always listen and
Mm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Listen and think, then speak.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
it's a wise one. It sounds so simple, but it actually has such a big impact.
yeah. And before we express our emotions openly, so always, yeah, always for me and always think about that situation. So what's going on in the future, something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you are you a very happy man?
Yeah, I'm so happy, man. Yeah, especially I was born in Mongolia. I'm a Mongolian man. Yeah, really, I'm really proud of this beautiful country.
And you can be. And what I find so beautiful that in Mongolia, it's people are proud to also go back to the nomadic lifestyle. Yes, many are going into a modern lifestyle, but many people are also going back and really appreciating the old ways.
Yeah, always, cause yeah, and the main philosophy is to live for Mongolians is just to live close to the nature. I mean, eco-friendly, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
eco-friendly and zero waste habits.
Yeah.
So it means as much as possible we try to save
Mm-hmm.
our nature, and yeah, help the all Mongolian people, help the all my friends, yeah, something like that.
You really work well together. So what I've noticed as well is, for example, when we stayed with a nomadic family in the Orkhon Valley, I was able to come along for the yak herding,
Mm-hmm.
and we rode our horses, pretty wild horses, I have to say. We rode them about an hour and a half into the valley
Mm-hmm.
until we found the herd of yaks. And the boys said we're actually very lucky that they're so close. For me, it
Yeah,
was a long ride already to find them. And then we brought back about 200, I would say, yaks.
yeah,
And just before we met, we went past some gher camps. They separated some of the yaks out because they had brought back the yaks for the neighbors as well.
yeah,
And when I asked why you do this or how this is arranged, it was so, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, the most Mongolians are very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as possible, we try to help each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, if our livestocks at the same place, so we can just bring back all together and on a way separate to the
Mm-hmm.
families.
Yeah. Yeah. Many years ago, during my first trip to Mongolia, I was speaking to my friend Dashka,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked him how they do it. If one family is near in the Gobi Desert where you don't have so much water.
Yeah,
So one family is with their livestock near a well, so they have water.
yeah.
And a second family with their livestock comes along. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, how do you regulate it? How do you solve it?
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at me and said, what do you mean, how do you solve it? And I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, we in our world, we would start arguing. We would
Mm-hmm.
start saying, hey, I was here first. No, but I. And he said, why argue? It doesn't make sense. The animals need to drink, and those that come new will get the water. It's so simple, but
Mm-hmm.
it surprised me. Is that really how all nomadic people think?
Yeah. So So we can turn in turns. We can turn. I mean, we can change. So we can wait for the others. Especially maybe my livestock needs some water.
Mm-hmm.
So then first, yeah, I feed all animals.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, our neighbors. It's kind of in turns in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we can just wait for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what my Mongolian grandmother Emme then said, she laughed and she said, arguing doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Do you argue when you live in that in one gher with several generations, or are there any arguments?
Uh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there will be some arguments. Mainly, we don't complain each other. So, and
Wow.
earlier I mentioned, and we are just tolerance. We are
Mm.
just patient. So there
Patient,
might be
tolerant.
somebody is just bit angry.
Mm-hmm.
So the other people just must be patient. Just
Okay.
listen, and mainly we don't like arguing each other.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.
So what is your, because you've met a lot of Western people and you probably see how Western people argue a lot and are often stressed and have so much on their minds and it's all so important. What is your message to Western people how to lead a happier life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also that's a tough question. Yeah.
And I hope you have a
Yeah,
good answer.
yeah. Western people's lifestyle is totally different from
Yeah.
ours. Yeah, and maybe the Western people have got everything they want. So the Mongolian people just live in just like this in white, this beautiful. I mean, this landscape, this nature. Yeah. So just I would say. So let's save the nature.
Mm-hmm.
Just let's live eco-friendly,
Mm-hmm.
eco-friendly. So let's just keep this beautiful world to the next generation.
Yeah. And how can we as Westerners be more happy?
Mm, travel more,
Travel
especially
more, travel to Mongolia,
travel
yes.
to Mongolia. Yes, feel the Mongolian wind, feel the Mongolian lifestyle, meet the Mongolian people, and yeah, just feel Mongolia.
Feel
It's a
Mongolia.
real authentic nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah. And it's interesting because in our world we often perceive a nomadic lifestyle as poor. But the more I get to know the nomadic lifestyle and the nomadic people and the culture, the more I see how rich you are in values, in time, in peace, in social bonds, how the family just is so close together, how the neighbors support each other. So you don't have a lot of money in the bank. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have the fancy cars, but you have
Mm-hmm.
so much that really gives you true happiness.
Yeah. So we try not to attach in the materialistic things. Just if you have anything, if you have something, we can just give to the people.
Yeah.
Just share the people.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a very interesting culture. Also, when we visit, there is so much generosity, and the hospitality is so heartfelt. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And our hospitality is, yeah, it's I think maybe, yeah, I can describe that kind of hospitality things. Yeah. Even when we visit the nomad family, I mean the family in the countryside, they're very generous.
Very
Very,
they
very
don't have a
generous.
lot, but they
Yeah.
always offer and they
Always
share.
offer, share. Yeah. Share they have.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. No, thank you very much for giving me such deep insights into your wonderful culture. It is heartwarming to learn more about your lifestyle, about how easy it can be to lead a happy life in the end. So let's maybe just summarize. It's being patient,
Yeah, and the tolerance
tolerance,
and
respect,
respect and
not complaining,
not
not
complaining.
complaining, and
Yes, think before speaking,
listen.
listen. Yeah,
Yeah,
and just be happy what we have.
be happy with what you have.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Tovuu, for those deep insights. And it's a gift to the Western world what the nomadic culture can teach us. Thank you very, very
Yeah,
much.
it's our pleasure. Thank you for inviting your podcast. So I'm so happy and see you in
Goodbye.
Mongolia. See you
Yeah,
in Mongolia. Please welcome to Mongolia.
definitely, definitely. And I am definitely coming back already in a few months' time because I regularly do coaching retreat tours to Mongolia, to this beautiful country, taking people on a journey to what I think is one of the most spectacular and beautiful countries in the world, but also a journey to themselves. So if you want to join any of those, just get in touch, have a look at the show notes. And yeah, if you like the podcast, like it, comment on it, share it with your friends and families, and do come and visit this beautiful country. It's not just a bucket list destination, it's a real place for the soul and the heart. Can you say welcome to Mongolia in Mongolian?
Mongolt Taftamerl.
Thank you very much.